We're back to the Neil Haley Show. And before we dive into this interview, I wanted to talk about Books to Life marketing that makes it happen. Bring the most amazing author journeys. The authors are fantastic. Their stories are so unique. And they help those authors market their books the best. I mean, the best quality covers, everything. So if you're an author and looking to take your book to the next level, Books to Life Marketing is the place you want to be. And my guest today is Pam Mullarkey Robbins. She's the author of What's So Funny About Dementia. Pam, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. How are you doing? You've had a little vacation, thank God.
Yep, and I'm ready. I'm ready to roll. And this is a topic, dementia, that sometimes is misunderstood, sometimes is treated differently. And this is why I'm so glad you are talking about this. So, why write about humor when dealing with such a terrible disease like dementia?
Well, because it got me through my mother's journey with dementia and three other family members that I helped care for. And, when you can turn your troubles into laughter, it helps a lot. And we're not laughing at the person, we're laughing with the person. And some of the things they do are crazy. So my dad and I decided, as we're going through this journey, he was angry every day and I was crying every day. And we said, this is going to be a long journey. Let's find the humor in what's going on. So we did. And we didn't realize humor has 15 benefits to it. And they're all health benefits from Mayo Clinic. It's amazing that it can help cure pain. It can help lower your blood pressure, your cholesterol level. It's just so many benefits of laughter. And when you can turn your tragedy into something that you can see the laughter in it, it makes it bearable.
No, it absolutely does make it bearable because you're like, okay, I can do this.
Mhm.
I can get through this. Any life disaster, you watch comedy, you laugh, you feel better about yourself. You
Right,
watch drama, you don't feel good about yourself. So
right.
that's the hardest part in all this, right? Is
Yeah.
basically people who could just always laugh about things, feel
Mhm.
better about themselves, and are able to handle tragedy much better and deal with drama much better and deal with everything if they just can laugh.
That's right. Absolutely. And it's not easy because this is a long, difficult disease, and caregiving for someone with dementia is the hardest
Mm.
job of all. But we will get through it and we will be better people after it. I've learned so many things from this on compassion and unconditional love and patience, things that I wasn't born with, believe me.
So, what will people learn about by reading your book?
Well, they'll learn that they're not the only ones going through this. They'll learn that they're going to get through it no matter what, and that I can help them get through that because I've got each chapter is a story about my mom. And at the end of it, there are hints and things that can help them get through that. So I give a lot of advice, and I'm a counselor, I'm a psychologist, and I counsel caregivers. So I've got so much I can help them with. They don't have to go on this journey alone. And so I love working with caregivers. I really do because I've been one 4 times.
It's not easy.
No,
There was a former client of mine, caregiver Dave Nisani, and caregiver Dave would always talk about you have to there's a way of caregiving, and basically you have to think of yourself not just as the caregiver because it's so draining and debilitating in so many
absolutely.
ways because you forget about your self-care. You forget about everything about yourself when you're caring for somebody to a level where then you lose yourself in so many ways and lose a lot of your self-worth and because of it. It feels great at certain times, but it can be so draining. So how did you counsel a person who is taking care of a dementia patient? Because I couldn't imagine it. Yes.
Yeah, I counsel them on taking care of themselves because if they get sick or die, who's going to take care of the patient they're working with? And my first patient actually was a Marine, and he had been married for 43 years to this wonderful woman who was very angry when she got dementia and hitting him and calling him names and stuff. And he'd go see her 3 times a day when he finally had to put her into a memory care because he couldn't handle it any longer. And I said, "You need a vacation." He said, "What? I can't take a vacation." I said, "Yes, you can." So he left for a week and took a vacation. When he came back, he was like a different person. And so we counsel through taking care of yourself and then understanding that these things are not you. It's not your fault. It is the disease. Every time they call you an SOB, just say it's the disease. All these things are because of the disease. That seems to help a lot, but I give them all kinds of help.
I mean, so it's interesting you say this. What do you mean that they treat you not horribly but challengingly as a dementia patient? I want to kind of understand
Yeah.
what phase of dementia they're in and how they don't treat you well. Yeah.
Okay. Dementia is a disease of the brain. So the brain cells are dying, and the person knows what's happening and they don't know how to deal with it. And they get very frustrated, especially I have found with males. They're so frustrated because they're used to being in control and they're used to knowing how to fix things, and they can't fix this. So they take it out on their loved ones. And it's not personal. They've got to understand that this is a disease. It has nothing to do with you. It's a disease. So the disease is very ugly. They can turn on you. My mother thought I was my father's girlfriend. I mean, give me a break. My father was a Marine, and anybody, I would have not picked my father as a boyfriend. So she wouldn't let me in the house. And then I finally brought my picture, my graduating picture from high school, and I put it up on my face. I knocked on her door, and she said, "Oh, there's my Pammy," but she never comes to see me. And I lowered the picture and I said, "Hey, Mom, it's me." She said, "Don't tell me who you are. I know who you are. You're my husband's girlfriend." Slammed the door. But when she came to my house, I was her daughter. It was so unbelievable, this disease. But that went on for 6 months. I couldn't go into her house. And I used to be in her house all the time, helping my dad with her. And yet I was his girlfriend. They just get crazy. Their brains get mush.
Oh wow. So I think that we sometimes think of dementia as this one, basically you forget everything, it's over.
Oh, no,
It's an ongoing battle throughout the process of
it
dementia.
is. And they can
Where
have
you
tremendous.
and the memories that are forgotten are
Mhm.
painful, aren't they, Pam?
They are. They're very painful. Yet, if we can bring them back to reality in memories, going through picture books with them, talking with them about things that happened, and not saying, "Do you remember?" Because they don't remember, but just sharing with them, that will give them a lighter spirit and help them know how much they're loved. That's the important thing. They're afraid. They're scared to death. The caregiver's scared to death, especially if it's a family member, because you don't know how long this is going to last. You don't know how long your money's going to last. It's a very expensive disease to put somebody in memory care. It's between six and $20,000 a month. And it's like, holy
Wow.
Toledo, can I handle this? So there's a lot of fear in both the patient and the family members. So it needs to be put on the table. Hey, we're going to get through this together. We're going to work together. And we understand that the disease is ugly. It can be very ugly. Sometimes it can be all right. My late husband that just died a year ago, he was so gentle and very calm. And he didn't go through all these horrible stages that a lot of people in the memory care go through. So when I had to put him in memory care because I had lost so much weight and I was getting 2 hours sleep a night because he was up all night, it was a lot easier than when I put my mom in memory care, which was horrible.
Oh my gosh, so you had to do it for both people. What are the
Mm-hmm.
signs? Because this is where I think the
Yeah,
people that are intrigued want to read the book to laugh, but talking about the signs, because
right.
Pam, you bring such a valuable amount of knowledge in dementia because you've gone through it and as a caregiver as well. But tell me
Right.
about what types of things do we see when someone, especially your husband, so you went through it with your mother and then bam,
Mhm.
here comes your husband.
Right, right. And it went with my two
What
grandmothers.
how did you start figuring out the signs for your husband? Because
Well,
your mother, your mother, you might have said, okay, I'm seeing it, it's
yeah, yeah.
happening. But what about your husband?
Right. My husband, he came home one day and he said, I had an accident. And I said, oh gosh, what happened? He said, I don't know. And I said, what? I went down and looked at the car. The whole front end was smashed in. And it was like $5,000 to get it fixed. And I said, who hit you? He said, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? And he said, I don't remember what happened. Well, it's the memory part that goes, but also they ask questions, the same question day after day after day. And that gets very tiring on the caregiver to answer the same question all the time. So asking questions, having dents in your car, look at the person's car. They sometimes have little accidents and they don't report it. They don't talk about it. That's another way. And then, of course, forgetting where they put things, forgetting names. Those are normal for getting older, but it's the point where they continue to do the same thing. And so you can pretty much tell that there's something wrong, and you need to go to a neurologist and get it tested out. And
Now,
I'll
you
tell
think if you identify it earlier, it looks like your
you,
husband, you didn't get to identify it early enough. Is there opportunity now to reverse? I don't think it's, we're getting, figuring out things kind of to potentially reverse this or slow it down. Potentially reverse, I'd say next 10 years, we should be able to potentially reverse this, but we have to identify the signs early. And how do we do that? And I think your experience in this and counseling other people on this, you're seeing where these signs happen.
right. And wandering is another sign. Sometimes they wander at night. They don't sleep well at night. They like to sleep in the daytime. So with my husband, he'd knock on. I was up every hour with him. Then I finally got a Murphy bed in the guest room, locked the door, and the minute I got into bed, I hear this. Are you in there? Oh God, he found me. So it's just one thing after another. But as far as a disease goes, I do a lot of research on the disease, and there are 5 things we can do to help avoid the disease and 5 things we can do to slow it down. There's no cure for it at this point, but there
Right.
are things we can do. And there's 5 of them, and they're in my book. And for example, one of them is to exercise every day because you're getting the blood flow into your brain. And there's a protein now. When I was in graduate school, they said when your brain cells are dead, they're dead for life. Well, guess what? That's not true. There's a protein called BDNF that regulates your brain cells and they can repair some of your brain cells. But there's 5 things you do to increase that protein. So diet, exercise, rest, less stress, and what's the 5th one? Let's see. Well, no Alzheimer's here, baby. um, Socialization is the 5th one.
Oh,
And people
wow. Mhm.
who have dementia don't want to do much anymore. They don't want people to see them. So they kind of isolate themselves, and that's the worst thing they can do. Socialization helps and stimulates the BDNF. So all of those things, diet especially, and exercise.
Now, so people in their 50s that are concerned that they could, because of
Mhm.
family members that have had dementia or Alzheimer's, you basically have to start that process now to make sure you're hitting those 5 core areas every day.
It can certainly help. Yes. Yes. And it's a good health for all diseases, actually. I mean, when your diet is right and you're exercising and you're getting sleep and less stress. And in my book, I talk about how to do all those things. And then socialization, you're going to probably have a healthy life. And I'm 79 years old and I'm healthy, and I should be in a memory care because of the history on both sides of my family. Both grandmothers died of Alzheimer's. My mother died of Alzheimer's, and my husband just died of Alzheimer's. But because of my health and taking care of myself, I have postponed, hopefully, till the day I die.
Well, I think you can, and there's ways of reversing it too, through a lot of biohacking, and I'm sure you're looking into those things
Mhm.
that are happening. There are some people talking about those particular things, but you're talking about those signs. But there now are also other medical signs that we can reverse this. The new dementia drug is. I've been listening to it on a podcast, and I'm not here to quote. I'm not a health professional. But
Right.
I've been hearing it's not really supposed to be that good. It's saying it has a specific area that fits into the brain. I was listening to Dave Asprey's podcast, and he talked about that. But ultimately, there are other ways we can do
Natural
this
ways.
to,
Yeah.
to,
Natural
to
things. Yep,
natural things
exactly.
that we can do
Exactly.
versus going to the pharmaceuticals, which could cause other things if you're taking
Right.
other pharmaceutical drugs. So our health is our wealth in so many ways. So if we're out there battling and not taking care of our health or looking at our health as an important option, it's important. I think one of the other things is when we retire, we can't shut down everything that we were talented in before in our
Right, right,
careers.
right. And
Kind
keep your
of,
brain stimulated.
do
Do you
you
know that
think?
ballroom dancers have the least amount of dementia in the world? And it's because they're dancing and they're doing two things at one time. They're having to think of the steps and they're moving. So if you can get on if you're riding a bike on a treadmill, whatever, and you can be reading something, those two things will help the brain, stimulate the brain. And it's very important that we keep our brain stimulated as we get older because it's real easy to just lie down and watch TV or get on social media or cell phone and just hang out there.
So that's an interesting point. Social media is another way that can cause that's not stimulating the brain. You want to be stimulating. How much stimulation a day? Like, because you've been retired for a while, but it doesn't seem like you're ever going to retire, Pam, because you got your book to promote. It's not true you're retiring. You retired from a career, but you didn't
Right.
retire from your passion. And your passion is this and doing all these things. But
Right.
explain to people how they can keep that brain active every day. And I think the best way to look at this is in your 50s. You start to see some of that older stuff start to creep in, and then your
Mhm.
60s more. But if you can start identifying it in your 50s and say, how can I retrain and recharge this brain and reverse it so that but let's talk about brain exercising. How do you keep, how much of that a day? So when you're retired, what point in time, how much time should you spend really like you still have a job to do, that's
Well,
really keeping you active in that area?
I think staying active with different things like crossword puzzles or word find or dancing, learning a new language, learning to play a new instrument, all of those things are very stimulating to the brain, and that feeds the BDNF and gets the protein continuing to increase. But even gardening, this wonderful research on getting out in the dirt, that even helps the BDNF. So staying active, not being a couch potato. And I know that's hard because people don't feel like getting up. But guess what? Get over it. Get up
Uh,
and do something. If you walk around your house 20 times, you're going to stimulate your brain. You're going to get that blood flowing and you're going to increase the BDNF, which is going to help you stay younger, longer, and healthy longer.
and that's the thing. And that's where you have to come up with a passion too, Pam. I think a lot of people who are retired don't have any passions. Their
Right.
passion was their work. And God forbid
Right.
that if let's just talk about doctors or lawyers, they could still probably be practicing through retirement, but doctors can't operate anymore. They can't really do specific things. How do they keep that brain stimulated so they don't run into that? But I think the intellectual brain keeps us from not. If we continue to build our intellectuality, that's my recommendation. The newest thing is really work with AI. Work with AI. The AI doesn't do it for you, but you learn from AI. Use it as a teaching tool. Use it to
Mhm.
learn new things. Learn it to become more technical. And then your brain is going to continue to build so you don't have to worry about those things anymore. And just say, I'm
Right.
too old to learn these things. No, you're never too old to learn something.
Right. You're right. You're right. Very good. Very good point. To keep your brain active and to read and research something you're interested in, whether it's bumblebees, whatever. Research so that you're reading and you're learning, and then share that so that you're verbalizing and you're socializing with other people, and that's extremely important. And of course, the nutrients, all the vitamins are very important.
Yeah, they are.
Instead of medicines, get onto nutrients. I take B12 shots every week. That B12 and omega-3 are very important for your brain and your body. And 90% of Americans have a low level of omega-3 deficient. It's like, what? So you can take nutrients as well.
Take nutrients, do all these different things, and guess what? It's going to help and reduce it. I think. What does it say about like dementia? What if we are doing all those practices? Our chances of dementia, even if we have a relative who has it, are slim, right? If we do all these things. Am
If
I
you take
correct?
care of yourself, I think you can fight this. Yeah, it's called Let's Fight Dementia. And that's part of my book, Let's Fight Dementia. There's no reason why we can't fight it. We cannot give into it. We have to fight it. So we become fighters in our old age without boxing
See,
gloves.
let's see. Remember, also, we're living a lot longer. Even the
Yeah,
ones that who are doing all these things are living to their hundreds, potentially
mhm,
even older than that. So you don't know, like the average, but that's where they look at, oh, well, let's look at the average American. We can't look at the average American and their how long they're going to live. Look
right,
at, I've heard people that are married or very active, their average age living is a lot longer. COVID
mhm,
kind of changed those numbers up, but we have many, many people living in their 90s, hundreds, and
right.
even longer. And there are
Eh,
people now in their 50s and 40s that are striving to live to 160. So you're really seeing an opportunity in our health that everyone needs
Right,
to look at. And what are
right.
the areas that are bad news for dementia that you shouldn't be doing, especially?
Lots of sugar and processed foods, couch potatoing, not stimulating your brain, and not taking supplements and eating unhealthy are all things that are going to, not be good for you.
Yeah.
You look at Israel, and there's very little Alzheimer's, if anything, and they eat a lot of honey and cinnamon and lemon. And those three things, I do that every morning as well. I put it in a nutrient drink, and honey, lemon, and cinnamon are healthy for the brain. So let's look at the people who don't have Alzheimer's and find out what they do in different countries. That's what.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's important. And I remember it's Dr. David Palmetter. He wrote a book, and he's also he was the one that did the brain grain back in the day. If I'm correcting pronouncing his last
Hmm,
name, I had him on my show, but I was listening to him on Dave Asprey's podcast, and this is where it reminds me: people who eat chips every day are 10 times more likely of getting dementia and
wow.
their percentage. So it's something ridiculous like that. So if you shorten your lifespan too, isn't that
Mhm.
unreal? To look at processed foods and not to have those processed foods, especially those processed foods, and to look at
Right.
the good nutrients. But that's challenge, right?
It
We
is.
all because we at certain times in our lives we really didn't. We burned the candle at both ends, sleep wise, all these
Right.
other things, but we
Right.
can defeat it by doing those things. And when I see healthcare where it's going, and especially when we're seeing all these things, keep your brain active. So let's say you do get dementia in your 80s. You might not have it now because there might be medical breakthroughs by that time in your 80s. So fight it now. Read your book, that's for sure. And fight it now. Fight it now. So when you're in your 80s and you're like, okay, I really want to still, I love what I'm doing. I want to still live longer. I'm not going to get dementia because there's already going to be new health techniques and different things. So this is where I think, Pam, you should get involved is how can I get more researchers to research this and to put
Mhm.
money into this, or even entrepreneurs that want to get in the medical field to really help this whole memory care thing. You know, Lisa Gibbons is really involved in this as well. Did you know that Lisa Gibbons?
No, I
From
didn't.
Entertainment Tonight, she does a lot involving memory care. Someone for you
Okay.
to try to go reach out to
Yeah.
is Lisa. And Lisa's doing a lot with this. So this is a study and a story that's pretty wild. And
Yeah.
but you work with these people, but I think you writing this book is so important. You know, there was also a TV show out with one of the guys from The Sopranos that is going to dementia early, and it was he basically it's called something about a serial killer. I can't remember the name of it on Fox. You have to check
Hmm.
that out. That's
Yeah.
another thing that has happened. We're really having this conversation, and you think this is going to decrease dementia if we do have these more of these conversations? Your
I
book
think
and
so.
all
I
the
think,
things I talked about.
and we're trying to get a movie of this so that we can get people to see it in the movie theater and talk to some directors of movies. And I wrote a second book because everybody said, I want more stories. And I said, I don't have any more stories, but if people will send them to me, I'll file through them. And I picked out the 100 greatest stories. And now I've got another book called The Brighter Side of Dementia. So there's two of them out there that will help lift your spirits if you're a caregiver or if you're starting to have dementia.
Mhm.
You might want to read these because they both have some great information in them.
So what's
And
your mission? What's your mission? What is your ultimate goal with all this dementia? Because you're a wealth of knowledge, that's for sure, Pam. But what is your goal with this?
My goal has always been to help people. That's what I've been doing for 55 years. I taught teenagers and I loved them and I helped them. And now I'm working with the elderly and I love it and helping them and just trying to make people healthy. My master's is in health and I just want to see people healthy and happy. And when we're healthy, we are happy.
And I think you're going to be able to do it. I know you can.
I hope so.
I know
Thank
you
you.
can do it. And that's where you tell your mind, I can do this. Yes,
That's
I
right.
can.
Right, right. I can
Uh,
do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's my favorite scripture.
you can absolutely do this. And I believe in you that you can. So just go out there, put people out and do this. So I think the first sign of, we talked about all these different things to fight it. When did we, you said, really forget something? Like we completely forgot it to the point that's when the concern happens. Because a lot of it could be stress ridden. You could be
Hmm.
in stress of in your 50s or 60s
Exactly.
that might not be it at all. How do we
That's right.
identify this is really it? That we're really down this path and we need to fight even harder, or we are showing those signs.
Yeah. Well, you might want to go get a MRI because that can show the part of the brain that's not any longer working. That's the first thing to do with my husband, and that will be a sign that you've got a problem. But other than that, I would say the repeat questions over and over again the same day. That's a real big sign, more so than losing things because we all lose things. And
How
just
quickly did this happen to your husband when he started doing this?
wow, I think it starts like 10 years before you even recognize that you have the disease. It's already in the formation point, research wise. So I would say with Bruce, it came on pretty suddenly. And with
Wow.
my mother, it didn't. It came on slowly. So it's just the person themselves.
And so we can think it's signs of oldness, but this is when we really try to take care of ourselves to see if we can kind of decrease our aging in that way, especially
Right,
the brain.
right.
Decrease. And is that what you try to do?
Yes, I
Anytime you
do.
start seeing it's happening, what do you
Right.
do? Gotta,
Well, the
Mhm.
number one food that is the worst food you can eat for dementia is sugar. And I love sugar. So I have to be very careful not to eat sugar. I'll give myself a treat at least once a week, but sugar is horrible for the brain. And yet we're a sugar factory in America. Everything is sugar, it seems like. So I'd say watch what you're eating and try to keep the sugar low. And that and a lot with nutrients and exercise and just enjoy life and try to keep your brain active and your body
Oh
active.
my goodness. That, I mean, you're giving it good signs, but it's scary. Because
Yeah.
could you imagine where you don't remember anything anymore? And I
Hmm.
think that's frustrating for men, you said, because they want to fix everything. But women, it's heartbreaking for their memories to be lost
And
forever.
there are more women that have dementia than men. It's about 70% women and 30% men. And I do believe, and we haven't gotten a proof of this, but I believe it has something to do with the hormonal when the woman goes through menopause. And my doctor has said it's very important to stay on the low dose of estrogen so
Yeah.
have brittle bones and dementia. So it's
So are
another
we
thing.
seeing signs of people that don't do BHRT or any type of hormone replacement therapy as women that get dementia because of that?
I haven't seen the link yet, but in my own true self, I believe it. If you've got 70% women, why would that be? I mean, there's not that much difference in men and women as far as when they retire, I don't think, unless, they play a lot more golf men on the golf course. Who knows? But I think they're going to find a link to the menopause shortly. They're doing a lot of research in this area.
All right. Well, where can we find your journey and stuff, your book and everything? Where can we go?
Anywhere. You can go to Amazon, you can go to any bookstore. It's called What's So Funny About Dementia. And the second one is The Brighter Side of Dementia. And read it and let me know what you think. And hopefully, we'll have a movie someday about this.
You're going to just keep up the
Good.
good hard work and you'll do it. Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you
again,
so much,
Pam.
Neil.
Appreciate
Okay,
it.
God bless.
All
Bye
right. You
bye.
too. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show. And we'll be back in just a moment.